Well, the Met's Special Demonstrations Squad, specialising in infiltrating groups that were of interest to the police, they would often spend years undercover and even strike up romantic relationships with their targets. Then they would disappear, leaving enormous holes in the lives of those that had grown close to them. Alan Little has been speaking to one woman whose identity we are protecting and who we are calling Alison, who spent 4 years living with a man she didn't know was an undercover cop.
At this address in Hackney in East London nearly 20 years ago, a group of political activists would meet. They were a broad church of left-wing campaigners. One day, a new member presented himself. He was not the predictable middle-class North Londoner. He was working class and from Liverpool. And he had a van to get the group around in.
10 to 9, and we're on the A1, heading north.
To one woman, he was also down-to-earth, practical, sociable and warm. She fell in love with him. This is Alison's story.
How would you describe your life together with Mark during those 4 years that he lived in your flat?
I think it's characterised by domesticity. He was fully integrated into my life in terms of my friends and my family. We led a very conventional life in many ways. I was a school teacher. He used to get up early. I thought he then went to work.
His name was Mark Cassidy. He began a sexual relationship with Alison. He moved into her house and was to live with her there for 4 years. Eventually, Alison, now in her mid-30s, wanted children. Mark said he wasn't ready. For a year, they went to relationship counselling. She went into great detail about her own background. In contrast, his backstory was scant.
He was very skilled at diverting attention away from himself, which at the time seemed humble and charming.
But Alison suspected something was being kept from her. She discovered a credit card in the name of M. Jenner and challenged him.
His hands went to his head and he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe how stupid I've been. Please don't tell anyone I bought it in a pub. I've only used it once to buy petrol. Please promise never to tell anyone. I'm so ashamed to be, to just appear like such a petty, stupid thief." And I remember putting it over the dustbin and cutting up the credit card. And I never told anyone.
When it came, the breakup was convoluted. According to Alison, Mark began to behave as though he were clinically depressed. She came home one day to find a goodbye letter on the kitchen table. She called him in hysterics. He came back briefly. But a few weeks later, he left for good.
And what effect did his disappearance have on you at the time?
It was devastating. It was like a bereavement. It was so sudden and without explanation. And I was unable to grieve in any normal way, because when, in a normal relationship, if somebody leaves you, there are normally family members or friends who you might have in common, who you can talk to. You might not get the answers you want, but you might get some answers.
Towards the end of their relationship, they were out walking when Alison spotted a car driving past them repeatedly. She told him she thought they were being followed. He told her not to worry about it. After he left, she became paranoid.
In the middle of the night, I would look out the window. I mean, early hours, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, logging the number plates of cars that were outside my house and then not there, and logging the times when they were there. And on my way to work, park keepers would smile at me or nod, and I would think that they were members of the state who were keeping tabs on me. I was acutely paranoid. I was very frightened and very, very disturbed, and that lasted for several years.
She tried to find out who the man she had shared her bed with for nearly 5 years really was. She could only find out who he wasn't, and he wasn't Mark Cassidy.
I went to the family records office that was then near Exmouth Market, and I searched for his father's death because I knew the date when his father had died, and there was no record for that. I then hired a private detective to do a run on his national insurance number and other details. All this person was able to prove, rather, was that he was not who he said he was, and that there was no record for his, I think, for his at the DVLA and other places.
Eventually, Alison learned that the man she had loved was in fact Mark Jenner, an undercover police officer working for an elite division of the Metropolitan Police. Further investigations revealed that at the time of their relationship, he was married and had 3 young children.
When he told me he was going to work, I suspect strongly he was going home.
To his wife and children?
To his wife and children. He's a very strong personality, and, you know, I loved him very much. I'm sure they love him very much.
Alison eventually rebuilt her life. She's now in a new and stable relationship and has 2 children. But she says her experience made her feel as though she'd been raped by the state. She's one of 8 women now taking a civil case against 5 police officers. She wants to know what information the Metropolitan Police holds on her and whether the Metropolitan Police knew about and authorised the intimate relationship that Mark Jenner sustained with her for so long. She agreed to this interview because she believes the police will ask the courts to dismiss the case on the grounds that continued secrecy is vital to operational security.
That report by Alan Little. Well, we approached Mark Jenner for a response to Alison's claims, but he didn't provide any comment. The police gave us a statement which said, "There is a thorough review and live investigation into allegations of inappropriate behaviour and practices involving historic undercover deployments. Part of this investigation is looking at allegations of sexual relationships. It would be inappropriate for us to provide a running commentary on specific allegations whilst this investigation is ongoing and whilst there's ongoing legal action. The Metropolitan Police Service must balance the genuine public interest in these matters with its duty to protect officers and former officers who have been deployed undercover, often in difficult and dangerous circumstances. We are therefore not prepared to confirm nor deny the identity of individuals alleged in the media to have been working undercover, nor confirm nor deny the deployment of individuals on specific operations."